This is a quick video about how to construct a regular pentagon. The first thing to know about a regular pentagon is that if I have this sort of star thing here, this triangle, its angles are 36 degrees, 72 degrees, 72 degrees. I'm not going to explain why that is right now, I'm just going to say that. So, if I can somehow create a triangle whose dimensions are 36, 72, 72, I can then draw a circle around by making two perpendicular bisectors of two of the sides, and I make that the center of the circle, and it will go right around it. And once I have the 36, 72, 72 triangle inside the circle, if I bisect the two angles, I'll get the other points. These are the 5 points that make the regular pentagon. So the question is, how do I make a 36, 72, 72 triangle? Well, let's take a look at, here's a 36, 72, 72 triangle that has 1 as the two legs. I want to see what the base of that would be. If I draw an angle bisector right here, I end up with the small triangle is going to be 36, 72, 72, and the big triangle is going to be 36, 36, 108. In other words, this is an isosceles triangle, so these two sides are equal. On the other, but this obtuse triangle is also isosceles, so all three of these green sides are equal to x. Now, this small side that's red here, or whatever color that is, red, that's going to be 1 minus x, because the entire, the whole side was 1. Now, if I take my big triangle, which I now see is 1, 1x, and this small triangle, if I rotate it, its sides are x, x, 1 minus x. And because they're similar triangles, I can make a proportion, 1 over x equals x over 1 minus x, which turns into, after cross multiplication, x squared equals 1 minus x, which turns into x squared plus x minus 1 equals 0, which, if I do the quadratic formula, I get negative 1 plus square root of 5 over 2, which is about 0.6. So, if I can somehow make a line segment whose length is negative 1 plus square root of 5 over 2, I can, if I have like a unit length somehow already, and I create, if I can somehow make a line segment that long, then I can make two circles that have this as their radiuses, and I would get my 36, 72, 72 triangle. There are various ways to make a line segment that's negative 1 plus square root of 5 over 2, which I'm going to write as square root of 5 minus 1 over 2, which I'm going to write as square root of 5 over 2 minus 1 half. And here's one way. If I start with a line segment whose length is 1, and I make another line segment that's perpendicular whose length is also 1, and if I make the midpoints of this line, these guys will each be 1/2. I'll call that point C. If I then make the hypotenuse here, because this red right triangle, the hypotenuse is going to be the square root of 1 squared plus 1/2 squared, which is going to be square root of 5/4, which is square root of 5 over 2. Notice that is square root of 5 over 2. So that's this green length. If I then swing a circle around so that the radius is CB, this other green line will also be square root of 5 over 2. And since this blue segment is 1/2, this remaining yellow part would be square root of 5 over 2 minus 1/2. And if I want this line segment to be horizontal, I can make another circle here so that this yellow one is also the length we want. Okay, cleaning it up a little bit. That yellow segment is -1 plus square root of 5 over 2. If I then, you might remember this line segment here was 1. If I then make a circle with that as the radius, with A as the center, and make another one with B as the center, then I would have my 36, 72, 72 triangle. Then I'll make 2 perpendicular bisectors, since that's how you find the center of what's called the circumscribed circle. Then I can draw in the circle around that, polish it off with two angle bisectors, and connect the dots, and this is our thing. Well, that's the best I could do in 6 minutes and 10 seconds.